Good morning and welcome again to this open house about the undergraduate program and admission to the program for the new academic year. So before I start talking about the program itself, I would like to say give you some information about the background to the university, how it got set up, and what its goals are, what its mission is, right? And that will help you put this particular program in the right perspective. Mr. Azim Premji, as you all know, is a well-known industrialist and probably India's most well-known philanthropist. He has, starting quite a few years ago, created a large philanthropic endowment, probably the single largest endowment in India, to contribute towards India's development. He started this work in 2001 when the Azim Premji Foundation was set up. And the mission of the foundation is to contribute to the improvement of the public elementary school education system. This initiative came from the understanding that one of the most important ways in which anyone can contribute to Indian society's development is through improving the access and quality to education. So from 2001, the foundation has been working in various states in the country, running various programs in collaboration, in partnership with many state governments. A few years ago, the foundation decided to establish district institutes. So there was a change in the strategy of the foundation. From running specific programs in partnership with governments, the foundation decided to establish district institutes, district centers, beginning with many disadvantaged districts in the country. And today we have, in many states, over 20 district institutes. The states where we function largely are in Karnataka, Rajasthan, Uttarakhand, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, and Pondicherry. We are thinking about beginning in Bihar, and over time, many other states and districts in these states will be added to the locations where we operate. In all these states, we have a substantial number of people working with the public education system. So in 2010, the Azim Premji Foundation established Azim Premji University, which is the first private university in Karnataka. It's been created by an act of the Karnataka government, Karnataka legislature, the Azim Premji University Act 2010, and the university has full powers to run programs and award degrees. It is recognized by the UGC also. We started in 2011 with our postgraduate programs, with two postgraduate programs, one in education and the other in development. These are two of our largest programs today. These are 2-year master's degrees for applicants who have completed their undergraduate education. We added 2 more later, a master's in public policy and governance and an LLM in law and development. The latter program is for law graduates who are interested in contributing to the development sector. The undergraduate program started in 2015. So the batch, or the class which begins in July 2017 would be the 3rd batch. The 2018, that is the next year, our first class will graduate. All the postgraduate programs run from this campus. This is the campus, as you would have realized, is the campus of the PES Institute of Technology. And the undergraduate program doesn't operate from here. We have an independent undergraduate location which has the residences, and the classes also take place there near Sarjapur. It's about 45 minutes drive from here. Both these locations are leased premises. They are not our own campus. Our own permanent campus is going to come up near Sarjapur again, not very far from where the undergraduate program campus is right now. We have an 80-acre piece of land, not very far from Sarjapur town itself, and the construction there is expected to start this year, hopefully in the next few months. So it's quite likely that the cohort, the class of students who join in 2017 will probably get to study for a year at least from the new campus, but we can't promise you that. The fact that we don't have our 80-acre, 2 million square feet own campus is not ready, in our opinion, does not hamper the undergraduate program in any fundamental sense. Right? This allows me to transition maybe my talk towards the issues of what we are trying to do. The Azim Premji Foundation and the faculty in the undergraduate program who have put together the curriculum feel that education must reach beyond just preparation for a career, right? And beyond just getting the students a degree. Education is far too important a matter merely to be a passport to a good job. If you look at the kind of anxieties and the kind of choices people make about education, you might not believe me. I hope all of you have come here, at least seriously interested in the program which aims to do something much more than merely give you a route to a good job. I'm not criticizing or underplaying the role of a interesting, important, meaningful occupation and work. However, as you know, there is a tremendous preoccupation with jobs which will get you large sums of money, or programs you have to study in merely because they give you the currently fashionable job opportunity. So this particular program aims to be very different. The academic program has been designed with a lot of care, and we continue to tweak it based on our experience of the last 2 years. We have a highly accomplished faculty who are active in research and very committed to teaching. We believe this program is unique because of the manner in which both the academic preparation and the broader aspects of the students' experience and learning that we support. Like I said, since the university exists to make a much broader contribution to India's development, to contribute to a just, equitable, humane, and sustainable India, we hope that every student who comes into the university shares that purpose. We believe that sharing that purpose or participating in the journey towards that is an important part of your education, and it is completely synergistic with our students choosing and entering interesting occupations. These occupations could be anywhere in the social sector, in research, in the broader business organizational sector, for higher education, for teaching. The university will soon start both an undergraduate teacher preparation program also. And this particular program will eventually be a backbone for that degree. We would like our students to be critical thinkers, able to ask questions, able to become active learners, and also follow their heart. Make choices about what you want to do based on your interests, capacities, and perhaps the ability to go against the tide. We believe that students must encounter broader issues of the nature of Indian society, must have capabilities in reasoning, in reading, in writing, which normal programs do not provide. And for this we have designed the curriculum first around what we call a common curriculum. Almost 30% of the credits in the curriculum is a common curriculum which every single student in the program has to go through. It has three broad components: foundations, which include courses in reading, writing, and reasoning. Then a component called Understanding India, which consists of 5 courses, which includes a field-based course in the end of the 3rd semester, which introduces students to the issues of the history, culture, politics, right, and social diversity of India. So whether you take physics or whether you take the humanities, you go through the Understanding India component. So if you are a student who says, my focus, I have only one focus, I want to study physics or humanities or economics or biology and nothing else, this is not the right program for you. The common curriculum has a 3rd component called creative expressions, which allows the students to explore areas of aesthetic exploration that you are interested in, whether it be music or dance or theater or even playing football. We have a strong football group. You might wonder why we include football in creative expressions. It comes out of the feeling that being able to work with your body, to understand or acquire a certain skill in physical activity, being skillful, can be acquired, and every student must do it. So these are not extracurricular activities, these are part of the curriculum itself. From then on, students go on to start or study areas of their interest in the majors. The courses in the major start in the 1st semester itself, but you will have more and more courses after the 1st year. At the end of the 1st year, students can also choose, if they wish, to opt for a minor. They can also decide not to offer a minor. Currently, there are many, in addition to the majors, which can be taken as minors, there are also interdisciplinary minors, like development studies, education, data science. We are launching a new minor this year called Media, Communication and Development. So these minors are on offer. But students can also opt not to choose a minor. So if you're a humanities student and you want to distribute those credits, you want to try a physics course or you want to try a mathematics course, you're welcome to do so. This is a liberal program. First point is liberal doesn't mean, oh, I can do what I want. Liberal in the educational sense, not even in the political sense necessarily. A liberal education aims to prepare students to have critical capacities, to understand, to question, right? To be active citizens. It does not decide your political ideology for you. It does not decide what you want, what you should believe. So liberal is an educational philosophy which encourages the student become autonomous learners and young citizens. We are an informal place. Informal implies that the usual structures of authority between faculty, students, or between students do not exist. Our students call faculty by first name. They are encouraged to be informal and unconstrained by a lot of the normal authority and power structures of a university. That's where our students get the mistaken notion, oh, I can do what I want. If I can call my professor by the first name, oh, maybe then I can do anything. So that's the third part of what it means to be a student. You have to discover what your responsibility is as a student in the program, as a young citizen. And right from day one, I seem to have started today itself, we encourage our students to explore what responsibility is. And very often, students struggle to do that. They come from the lap of a family which sometimes is overbearing, controlling, anxious parents who would like their son or daughter to telephone back every evening and tell them what exactly they are doing. So that's the next expectation of the family. If you have done a good job over the last 18 years, you can let go now. That doesn't mean you're not concerned. It just means that now you have to allow the 18-year-old young person to discover what he or she, what her responsibility is, where her well-being lies. And we do not guarantee that it will always go very well. There will be challenges, and we would help the young person through those challenges. Challenges of social stress or academic stress or mentoring required. And we have an active mentoring program. This particular age group is a fairly demanding time. For young people moving away from the setting of the family to a setting where they are expected to be autonomous, yet mentored and guided. And that balance, what it means to be, is something you would discover, and that is a fundamental aspect of our program. So with all these concerns, you would understand why I said how shining our infrastructure is at the moment is not a fundamental concern for us. Education happens in the midst of interesting and supportive relationships between faculty and students, between students and their peers, and by students being responsible learners, taking their own destiny into their hands. Infrastructure is the background. And good education can happen in all kinds of spaces. So if such an education attracts you, please apply.